Wednesday in our reading as we follow Christ through this week seems to be a fairly calm day, or maybe we might think of it as a lull in the action. But we know behind closed doors and away from the eyes of people that the chief priests and the elders were plotting. We know this from the gospel record in Matthew 26 that they had gathered and they were plotting how to arrest Jesus by stealth and kill him. And they were adamant that it wouldn't be during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people. Just previous to that, in Matthew 26, Jesus says that after he had finished all these sayings, said, "You know that after 2 days the Passover is coming, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified." We're reminded that Jesus knew what was taking place, what would take place. He'd already predicted his death 3 times with increasing detail each time. And here it says that in 2 days he would be crucified. And it's interesting to think, what would we do, or how would we go about our lives if we had 2 days left? None of us really knows how much time we have left. But Jesus here says that in 2 days he would be crucified. And when we go to Luke, we see what he busied himself with. In Luke 21, verse 37, it says that every day he was teaching in the temple, but at night he went out and lodged on the mount called Olivet. And early in the morning all the people came to him in the temple to hear him. What a refreshing reminder and a joyful teaching point for us to remember that in the midst of the impending death of our Savior, Jesus went about what he'd always gone about. Went about teaching. And he was teaching in the temple, the very place that was known as the house of God. The Son of God is there. And it's interesting that in Luke is where we read that earlier, much earlier in Jesus' life, when he was only 12 years old, his family left Jerusalem after a Passover festival and feast without him. And they came back to find him where? They found him in the temple. And his parents asked him this question, "Son, why have you treated us so? Behold, your father and I have been searching for you in great distress." And he, that is Jesus, said to them, "Why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" I don't know about you, but if you're prone to wonder, I wonder what he taught in these last 2 days, leading up to his death and burial and resurrection. But how comfortable was the Son of God in the house of his Father, knowing what was to take place in 2 days, and continuing to do what the Father had given him to do. What has God given us to do? And regardless of the circumstances and the situations that come upon us, which to us are unforeseen, we don't know what they are. We know where we stand currently, but we don't know what the next 2 days will bring, let alone the next 2 hours. What will we be found doing? What are we being found doing? Are we doing what God has called us to do? Are we doing it with everything that he's given us to do it with? Here we find Jesus 2 days before his death. Every day he was teaching in the temple, and every day the people were coming to hear him. May the words and the actions that we partake in be worthy of such an audience, and may they be glorifying to him and revealing the full trust that we have in him, the one who gave us everything. May you know God's joy and peace this day. God bless you.